Okay, hello everybody. Let's start with our first Dropguard webinar. Thanks for joining. For more than 40 people that subscribe to our webinar, I'm very happy to announce and to host this first free Dropguard webinar to show everybody of you how you can automate Drupal updates in the near future. That you know to whom you are talking about and who's talking to you, I want to share my face first of all. Hello everybody from Darmstadt. Hello to the world. That's great that many people of you all around the world watch this webinar today. And I want to give you a first short introduction about what is Dropguard, what are the benefits, but I don't want to make the torture too long, and I will proceed with the live presentation where I want to show you how Dropguard beats Drupalgeddon in the last year and will protect your Drupal sites in the future. I will share my screen again. All right, let's continue. So what does Dropguard do? Dropguard is a service to automate Drupal updates with an integration into your development and your deployment workflows. Dropguard automates patches and reapplies patches to your modules that are updated by Dropguard. And Dropguard works hosting independent. It has an integration to other hosting providers so that you are independent of server and the architecture that you use to run your Drupal site. Dropguard versus Drupalgeddon in this live webinar. We prepared Drupal 7.31 Drupalgeddon affected Drupal installation. That was the one version that was affected by a highly critical security update in October last year, where every one of you guys had to patch your sites within a few hours. Otherwise, you had to assume that your site has been hacked by many hackers that set up their bots and hacked your site. And we want to show you how you can protect yourself from future highly critical security updates and deliver continuous updates to your clients. If you have comments or if you have questions, please use Twitter and address them at Dropguard. We will collect them together and answer each of your questions after the webinar and after the live presentation. Some of you might wonder what are the requirements for Dropguard, and there are only a few. 3 in total. So the first one is you need to commit your code of your Drupal installation to a Git repository. That's necessary for the deployment, for the transport from one server to another. You need to have a Git-based deployment workflow. That does not necessarily mean that you need to have a complete continuous integration environment set up and running. It only means that you need to have different branches for different versions to manage your code and your deployment. And to set up Dropguard or to set up the first project of your Dropguard installation, you need to have access to your Git user management to let Dropguard connect to your Git repository. That's it. Yeah, and here we already go. We will start with the demonstration. As mentioned before, please address all your questions and comments at Dropguard on our Twitter channel or use the discuss comments below the webinar page. Now everybody of you should see my screen, and this is the first page of the Dropguard service. You can ignore all the other projects here in the list. They are from previous presentations. And we will start from scratch so that you can see how you set up your project on Dropguard from scratch. We will add a new project. And of course, first we will give it a name. It's the Dropguard webinar demo project. And as every time I write the word webinar, it's wrong with a typo. Webinar. Here we will enter a Git URL. That's the Git URL where the code base of your Drupal installation is committed to. And above this Git URL, there's a select box to select your hosting provider. actually is only custom selectable, but in the near future, we want to integrate with other Drupal hosting providers. That makes it much easier to connect to your individual hosting provider and to deploy your updates continuously and without heavy configuration and without integration that is then automated by the hosting provider's API. DropGuard also supports distributions or installation profiles. If you check this box, you can tell DropGuard to update a distribution as a solid project. That means you rely on the update cycle of the distributions. And only if the distribution releases a new update, DropGuard will update all modules included in this distribution. Or you can let DropGuard update each and every module and theme separately and make the update process not dependent on the release cycle of the distribution. In our case, we don't have a distribution used for our presentation here. To give you an overview how we deploy our updates in this presentation, I set up 3 separate installations. That's a copy of our corporate website. And we have 3 instances. This one is the development instance. We have a staging instance. And we have a live instance. The development instance is where the development takes process and where the team commits the latest features. The staging environment is usually where the quality assurance happens and where customers test the latest development results. And the live site is nothing less than your live site. And each of these instances is affected by Drupalgeddon. We can see this in the status report here. It's Drupal version 7.31 in each of these instances. And now as we proceed with the configuration process, at the end, you will see that in a few minutes, the sites are updated automatically by DropGuard so that no hacker has a chance to hack your site. Let's proceed with the next step. That's actually the step where DropGuard needs to know the credentials to establish a connection to your live site. Therefore, we developed a small and lightweight module. It's called DropGuard. How else could it be named? And the DropGuard module exposes a web service that lets the DropGuard service request information regarding the installed modules and the related version of these modules. And with this information, the DropGuard service can determine which updates are available and how critical they are for the security of your site. As this is trusted information that will be transferred from the live site to the DropGuard service, we want to let both services communicate via an encrypted connection. And to encrypt this connection, you need to add 2 credentials to the site where you installed the DropGuard module, and that's usually the live site. So let's go to our live site. That's this one. And go to the DropGuard modules configuration page. Here we enter the client ID, that's 32. And we copy the access token to our clipboard and paste it here into the access token. Save the site, and then we copy the URL as we need to enter the live site URL here in this text element. That's the URL where DropGuard finds the endpoint of the service to request information regarding installed modules and their version. As the site is protected by an htaccess password protection to prevent Google from reindexing all our content, we enter the htaccess credentials to bypass the password protection. That's it for this step. And in the next step, we need to tell DropGuard how to handle updates of different types. Let's start with the most important update type. This is our highly critical update. Highly critical update was the previous one in October, the one that was called Drupalgeddon. And for these kind of updates, we want to bypass all development, deployment, and quality assurance processes We just want to patch our site that it's secure, and then we can fix bugs afterwards. Because if you imagine to unhack your site, that's impossible. But if you find some bugs, you can fix them afterwards, even after the update. That's not a big deal. We have an update mode where you can tell DropGuard either to skip all updates. That makes no sense for highly critical updates. You can let DropGuard create a task for each update. You will see this in the task management where you have a task for each and every update. Or you can tell DropGuard to create a task for all updates and start the update process automatically. And that's exactly what we need for highly critical security updates. We don't want to test the update manually. We first want to deploy it and then test it afterwards so that our site is secure immediately. For this reason, we set the testing mode to skip tests. And here in the Git branch mode, you can either apply the updates to an existing branch. Most likely that's the dev, stage, or master branch, depending on your Git workflow and the setup of your development repository. Or you can use the Git flow model and create a new feature branch for every update. In this setting, DropGuard will create a new feature branch for every task. And then you can determine or configure the merging action later in the event section of this configuration process. In our example, we only have 3 branches in our Git repository, and therefore we apply the updates to an existing branch. And as we handle highly critical security updates just like a hotfix, we will apply the updates to the master branch and then deploy the updates immediately to the live server. For the other security updates, we could set up different workflows for different security update types. But in our example, we want to handle only highly critical updates separately as a hotfix and then care about all other security updates in the same way. That means if we select security updates all and we don't have a specified deployment or commit workflow for updates for other critical security updates, then this configuration here applies. And for security updates that are not highly critical, they are important to apply, but they are not critical. That means we can take the time to test the updates manually, but nevertheless, we want to create a task for all updates and start the update process automatically to save time. We don't skip updates as for highly critical security updates. We don't skip tests as for highly critical security updates, but we want to test the update manually. Again, we apply the updates to an existing branch, and here we use the stage branch, and that has the benefit that we have less time to pass by as if we would process the whole development and deployment cycle from the development branch to the stage branch through to the master branch. In this example, we will commit the updates directly to the stage branch, do the quality assurance there, and then deploy the updates immediately to the master branch and to the live server. And last but not least, we need to care about all other updates that are not specified here. These are most likely feature updates or bug fix updates. We could let DropGuard work as a dedicated team member that is responsible just for deploying updates to your development projects. In this case, you would select to let DropGuard create a task for all updates and start the update process automatically. In our example, I want to show you how you can manage the processing of updates manually by changing the status of the task. And for this reason, we don't want to process the updates automatically. For bug fix or feature updates, we only want DropGuard to create a task for each update. Then we will test manually. Again, we apply the updates to an existing branch. And in this case, we commit all updates to the development branch so that the development team can include the latest updates into their development process. And that's it for step 3. Just one short note, during previous presentations, I realized that all users of DropGuard want the same workflows to deploy and commit the updates, exactly the one that I prepared for the demonstration here. And for this reason, to make it easier to set up a new project, we will implement a feature to pre-configure update profiles. Then you only need to select your update deployment profile, and that's it. That will save a lot of time, and you don't need to go step by step through the whole process here. But as this is a webinar and I want to show you the details and how to use DropGuard for your individual workflows, we go step by step through each and every step. And this is the last one. Here we have events list that is very similar to rules. In our previous step, we prepared the code base. We added new updates to our branches, and we specified to which branch which update will be committed depending on the update type. And now we need to care about the deployment. That means we need to configure DropGuard to ship the code or deploy the code to your server where it will be run and processed. Let's remember in the previous step, we had our highly critical security update where we configured DropGuard to skip all tests. And speaking in task statuses, skipping a test means that a task status will be set to test passed immediately, just after the update has been committed. If a task is set to test passed, we want to execute an SSH command. And we want to execute this SSH command only in case that it is a highly critical security update. We connect to our live server. For our presentation, it's the stage server. We have a user, and that's the user on the machine that has access by SSH. That means you can go to the credentials tab here, and here the DropGuard user with which you are logged in has a public key, and you can use this public key to give DropGuard access to your Git repository that we added in the first step of the configuration process. And you can use this public key to give DropGuard access to your server via SSH, for example, as we need it here in our execute SSH command example. What we do here is add an SSH command, and with this SSH command, we just move the focus to the live site directory where the code base is hosted on the server. Then we do a git pull on the master branch, as all updates are prepared on the master branch. And then we execute several trash commands. That's up to your deployment workflow. In our case, we only do trash updb to update the database and trash ccall to clear the cache. You could also do trash rebuild registry and any other trash commands that you might use in your development or deployment cycle. But in our example, that's enough. So with this SSH command, we ensure that highly critical security updates on the master branch are deployed to the live server. Then we need to merge back the master branch to dev and to the stage branch so that all updates are not only available in the master branch, but also in the dev and in the stage branch where we need a protection from Drupalgeddon as well. So in case of highly critical security update again, we merge the source branch back to our dev and our stage branch. Yeah, and that's it for highly critical security updates. All other security updates that are not highly critical. We want to test them first. So that's why we react on the status a task is set to ready to test. And if a task is set to ready to test, we want to receive an email that we can test our tasks. And we don't want this just for security updates, but we want this for all updates. So we choose default. And now if we enter our email address, we will receive an email whenever there is a task that is set to ready to be tested. DropGuard.net is our demo address. Yeah, that's it. And now we need to deploy the security updates that are not highly critical on the stage server so that we can test the updates that are set ready to test on the stage server. And now we select all other updates, security updates that are not highly critical. We could also select security updates all. And the host is again BS stage 3. The user is the developer, and I added the public key that is accessible in the credentials tab to the developer user on the server BS stage 3. And now we have different SSH command, but it's only different in the directory, because in the directory here, it's the live site, and this one is the stage site that we want to update for testing now. I close these, and I add another command to merge the branch for all updates that are not highly critical. I will merge the current branch back to our dev branch. That means we merge the stage branch changes back to the dev branch. And last but not least, we need a command to deploy normal updates that are feature and bug fix updates, and to show you each and every action that is available here in the select list. We can request a URL, and request a URL is available to integrate any other external services via webhooks. So for normal updates, we will call a URL, and I prepared a Jenkins job. And this Jenkins job updates the development instance from the source code of the dev branch. And we can just call the URL of this Jenkins job, and then it will be enqueued and processed to update the development site. You could add any other URL here if you want to integrate with external services. There is a token like branch, and with this token, you can make the branch where the changes are committed, where the updates are committed, dynamically available here in the URL, for example. Yeah, and that's it for now. As mentioned before, we will provide a pre-configured profile here so that you only need to configure this once for a project, and all other projects can inherit this configuration here. And then you need to reconfigure each and every step for every new project. Anyway, you only need to do this once for a project. Let's go ahead with the next step. Here we have a summary. We can check if all our settings are okay, but we know that everything works, and we will continue to create the project in the next step. And that's it. Now we are back in the list where we have a list of all our projects. And for our DropGuard webinar demo project, you see that the connection works. That's a good sign. Now we can view the details of the DropGuard webinar project. And here you already have a list of many Drupal updates. We can click again, check for updates and modified modules. That's exactly the same action as that is processed when you create the project. The cron job will be triggered approximately every minute to check all your sites for updates, and also to check if there are modified modules. This modified modules button here checks if there are projects where you have custom modifications. I mean Drupal.org projects such as contrib modules, themes, or even core, where you have patches applied or where you added custom modifications. And these custom modifications will be reapplied whenever an update for the modified module is committed to the repository. Here in the list, you see that we have different security updates. We can only limit the list to show security-related updates. And here is, in fact, a highly critical security update. That's our Drupalgeddon badass update. And we want to let DropGuard updated automatically in time. Before we check if the site has already been updated, I want to show you the list of modules. And in the list of modules, you see all modules that are installed on your live site. DropGuard gets this information from a connection to the service that is exposed by the DropGuard module that you installed on your live site. And yeah, here you can filter by update criticality. You could also go to a configuration page where you would either see patches that are reapplied automatically, or you could add patches manually. For example, patches that are hosted on Drupal.org. And if you add a list of patches here, you can test the patches on the right, and you can let DropGuard reapply these patches whenever there is an update for the module where you added this patch. In our example, it's the administration menu module. You can set the patches as required. If a patch is required and it fails to be reapplied with an update, then the whole update process fails. In case of a highly critical security update, we should not set the patches required. Otherwise, yeah, a patch or an update that is highly critical could not be applied if the patch here fails. Let's go back to our project overview. And now you see the result of the modified modules check. DropGuard shows a message that there are modified modules. We will go to the list. And here you see that there are two modified modules. The one is Drupal. We add a patch to Drupal core. And there is another patch applied to this module. And all these patches will be reapplied when the update of one of these modules or of core is applied. Yeah, now let's check what DropGuard did. There was one highly critical security update with priority high, and it's Drupal core. You see that here in the table that the update was from Drupal 0.31 to Drupal 7.38. That's the latest version of Drupal core. And let's go back to the first step where Drupal started with the update execution automatically. Drupal committed all the updates to the master branch, just as we configured DropGuard to apply highly critical security updates to the master branch. And then our SSH commands are executed here. I absolutely agree if you think we should add this information to a field set, and we will do in our current sprint. So you can collapse this information in case you don't want to see everything on one page. But for this presentation here, it's nice to see that all the commands that we added to the execute SSH command are executed here for the deployment. And now let's go to our live site. That's actually live.demo.dropguard.net. And let's view the status report. And as you remember from the beginning of the presentation, and you can recheck this as we record the webinar, the previous installation, the previous installed version was 7.31, and now it's 7.38. That means the update has been applied completely automatically without doing anything and without losing time. In the example of Drupalgeddon, we had 4 or maybe even 5 hours to patch or update our sites. Otherwise, we had to assume that the site has been hacked. And here it took only 1 or 2 minutes until the site has been updated completely. Yeah, then we can close the task as everything is perfect. I tested the site. There are no bugs. So we can proceed with the other tasks here in the task list. And there is another task with 9 module updates grouped together. These updates are grouped together because they are deployed in the same way, and we don't want you to test each and every of these updates separately. That's a waste of time, but DropGuard applies all the updates at the same time if they are available at the same time, and then you can test all the updates together in one installation. And again, you remember we configured DropGuard to execute an SSH command if security update task is set to ready to test so that DropGuard can prepare the stage installation with the latest updates from the stage branch. And again, here you see what DropGuard did by executing the SSH command. That's pretty much the same that we processed with the highly critical security update. And now let's pick one module, like the CTools module. It was previously version 1.4, and now it's version 1.7. Let's check if the updates are applied on the stage server here. We go to the modules list and check here, and you see that the CTools module has been updated to version 1.7. Now we can do the quality assurance here on the stage server to check that there are no side effects of these updates. And if everything works and there are no bugs, we can set the status of this task to test passed. And as you remember, the events tab during the configuration process of this project, you could set up another deployment action for security updates where the status of the task is set to test passed. And then you could merge the stage branch or the feature branch, if you work with feature branches, where these updates are applied, to the master branch and execute again an SSH command or trigger a Jenkins job to deploy all these security updates here that are currently on the stage branch to the live site. In our example, we close the task. That means the updates on the stage branch will be deployed with our next development release cycle. That's why I can close the task immediately. And now we have a list of tasks and updates that we need to process manually as we configure DropGuard to handle non-security related updates manually. We could now either check all updates together, and then all updates will be processed together. They will be grouped again together into one task, and then they will be deployed together. But you could also exclude, for example, some modules from being grouped together because you want to test them separately, for example. And if you made your choice, you can start the update process here by checking this operation start update process, confirm this form, and then DropGuard will start with the updates. Here you see that 26 modules have been grouped together, and the updates of the modules that I unchecked, they are not processed right now. We can process them later manually, or even delete the tasks or close them if we don't want to process these updates. Let's go to the detail page of the task. Here you see a bigger table where all the updates that are included in this update task are listed, and you see each and every version. You can also check the release information here on Drupal.org. They are linked directly in the table row of the update. And on the bottom, you see that DropGuard started with the update execution. That's when we triggered the bulk operation to start the update process. And these updates have been applied to the dev branch as we configured DropGuard to apply all non-security related updates on the dev branch. And for deployment, DropGuard triggered the Jenkins job to update or to deploy all modules that are committed to the dev branch to the development server. Let's go to the development server and check. Yeah, first let's check on the status report. And you see that also the development server and of course the stage server are protected from Drupalgeddon as we configured DropGuard to merge the branches back. In case we commit to the master branch, we merge back to dev and stage. In case we commit to the stage branch, we merge back to dev. That's why we also have the update of Drupal core to 7.38 on our development server. And also some other modules such as the discuss module, for example, was updated to 1.12. Let's check this here. Yeah, and the update worked here too. So we already have the version 1.12. And now the developers can include all these updates in their development process, and you ensure that you don't ship any Drupal projects that are outdated and have security issues because you didn't apply the latest updates. If we test everything on the development server, a developer can set the task to test passed or close it immediately. And if we go back to our list, then we only have 4 updates left. We can process them manually or group them together, but that's exactly the same that we did previously, so I will not show this again. Yeah, and that's what DropGuard does. We will continue with a few slides. Yeah, just to bring the benefits to the point, we have 4 of them. DropGuard helps you to deliver updates continuously and helps you not to forget to apply updates during the development process. Of course, DropGuard gives you healthy, sleepy nights, because if there are highly critical updates, you don't need to wake up at night, depending on which time zone you are based, because DropGuard handles everything automatically for you. Therefore, you have a 24/7 security update protection, and it has a full workflow and deployment integration that's provided by the step that is currently the most complex one, but it's needed to provide the full flexibility that you need to connect DropGuard to your individual workflows, deployment, and to your hosting platforms. In future, if we increase and improve the usability with your help, it will be much easier, at least when we deploy the new feature for pre-configured profiles. What are the next milestones? Yeah, Drupal 8 is already almost there, at least I hope so, and it's promised in the community, and I believe in that. And I think Drupal 8 will be released in September or October. So we will get ready for Drupal 8. That's only a little work. We only need to port our DropGuard module on Drupal.org to Drupal version 8. And we want to add 25 more beta users till September to fix each and every bug that we find on DropGuard, and that's where we need your help. If you are interested in getting a beta access to DropGuard, and you know it's free as you attended this webinar, just go to app.dropguard.net, and there you can register. We will approve your account and get in person contact with you to help you with onboarding. We will also expose a complete REST API for the service so that you can write your custom integration with any kind of system that you want to integrate with DropGuard. And we will integrate task and ticket trackers out of the box. And in the end of September, we will release DropGuard with a first open beta release. Yeah, again, here in written words, you can apply for your free account at app.dropguard.net. There you can get the free beta account, and the access to the service is completely free till October. And the deal is that you get the service for free and we get your feedback, and you don't run away and put shitstorm on us on Twitter and Facebook. If there is a small bug, just get in contact with us and we will fix it together. This is how we can improve the service, and you can benefit from update automation without paying for it, with paying for it. All right, and then we want to ask you kindly, if you like the webinar and you see a benefit and the future in DropGuard that helps to make Drupal more secure, we would be happy if you want to give us a tweet at DropGuard on Twitter. And if you want to see more information and our suggested pricing model, you are free to visit dropguard.net on the landing page where you get further information. Just one small thing, if you want to build your own software as a service product based on Drupal, Here is a link that you can visit where it is described how we built DropGuard with Drupal and all the software as a service and accounting features around DropGuard to deliver this software as a service. Yeah, and then we are already at the end of this webinar. Thanks for all of you for joining the webinar. I'm wondering if there are some questions. Let me see. Just a minute. Yeah, one of you wanted to know how we can integrate DropGuard with Pantheon and Acquia. You remember the checkbox that I've shown in the beginning of the webinar, where you can select a hosting provider. Actually, it's only custom, but we plan to integrate Acquia Cloud, Platform SH, Pantheon, and maybe Aberdeen Cloud out of the box so that you don't have to set up the integration by yourself. Actually, as this feature is not yet implemented, you can use the Events tab to, for example, use webhooks or execute SSH commands to trigger actions on your hosting platform. That works quite easy, at least on Acquia Cloud, where the instances are rebuilt whenever you push your latest code base to the cloud, then the instances are rebuilt. So you only need to execute some trash commands to update, for example, the database. There is another question. If you need a complete continuous integration environment to run DropGuard, and the answer is no, you don't need that. That was just an example because I wanted to present a more complex scenario as if we only had one development environment and one live environment, but you don't need a complete CI environment. You can configure any workflow that you might have, no matter if you use, for example, Git flow, or if you only have a live server with FTP access. You can, in any case, integrate with each and every workflow using the flexible events tab in the configuration process and trigger any kind of action depending on any kind of condition that you might have. Another question. Can I integrate DropGuard with Jira? Yes, you can. You can use the webhook integration to create a task in Jira, for example, whenever there is a task in DropGuard. We will expose the REST API in a few weeks, and with this REST API, you can sync the statuses that are set on a task in Jira, and they need to map on the task in DropGuard, so that when you change the status in Jira, the status in DropGuard will be changed accordingly and triggers the deployment actions. Actually, it's not so comfortable to integrate with Jira because it's quite a lot of manual work with integration via webhooks and REST API. But we plan to integrate with different project management systems, task and ticket trackers out of the box so that you only need to select yours, enter the credentials, and then can work with these task and ticket trackers out of the box. And last but not least, there is a question if there is an agency program for DropGuard. And the answer is yes and no. There is a support for agencies out of the box because DropGuard is built for Drupal agencies to help them to improve their support and Drupal maintenance business. Therefore, we have a pricing rule that you will be charged for every site that you add to DropGuard, and you can recharge them to your customers. We will release an affiliate program that will give you some percentage if you add a new site to DropGuard following a recommendation of a partner. So yeah, it's not yet implemented, this affiliate system, but it is part of this year's activity. Anything else? No further questions. Yeah, then I want to thank you very much for your support. I thank you for sharing our webinar page before the webinar. That helped us to get more than 40 attendees to this webinar. And I would be happy if you get in contact with me personally or on Twitter at DropGuard if you have any kind of questions. Hopefully to meet you in Barcelona at DrupalCon when we have our release together with Drupal 8. Thank you very much and see you in the next webinar. Bye-bye.